Dollar Man, a top-secret government weapon until a lady reporter digs for the facts behind his incredible powers.
For years, Hollywood fans wondered what really went on behind the dazzling smiles of Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett, the dream couple of the 70s. They seemed unstoppable. He was the unstoppable $6 million man, and she was America's golden girl, the face of Charlie's Angels. But even as they graced every red carpet and glossy magazine cover, heartbreak was quietly building behind the scenes. Now, at 86, Lee Majors has chosen to break decades of silence, revealing truths about his marriage to Farrah Fawcett that stunned everyone, even those closest to him. What he finally admitted will not only challenge everything you thought you knew about their glamorous romance, but also leave you questioning just how much pain a person can truly hide, even from themselves. When Farrah Fawcett stepped into Hollywood at the age of 21, she carried with her the hopes of a determined young woman dreaming of a future in modeling. Raised in Texas, Farrah had that rare blend of warmth and glamour that immediately caught people's attention once she reached Los Angeles. Photographers adored her, and soon she was appearing in commercials and small television roles, establishing herself as a bright new talent. Meanwhile, Lee Majors was already carving a name for himself on television with his role in The Big Valley, becoming one of Hollywood's rising stars. Their worlds collided when Lee's agent spotted Farrah's photo and insisted that Lee reach out. The first contact was anything but smooth. A curt dinner invitation left on an answering machine at the boarding house where Farrah stayed. She found it a bit brash, wondering who he thought he was. Yet, curiosity got the better of her, and she agreed to meet the rising star. Their first date was a mixture of awkwardness and budding attraction. Farrah, who did not usually drink, nervously ordered a scotch and Coke, and ended up feeling sick in the ladies' room. Lee was left wondering if he had blown his chance, but the next day, he sent 13 yellow roses, symbolic of Texas, as a sweet and thoughtful gesture that melted Farrah's initial reservations. From then on, their connection grew quickly. Hollywood photographers soon began capturing the duo at the most glamorous social events, their chemistry impossible to ignore. The media hailed them as the golden couple of the 70s. He, the intense television hero with a commanding screen presence, and she, the radiant ingenue on the cusp of superstardom. Yet, behind the glossy magazine covers and relentless public adoration, the reality of their relationship was far more complex. Farrah, cautious about rushing into big film roles, preferred to build her career slowly through commercials and television guest appearances, partly to stay close to Lee. This desire occasionally clashed with Lee's traditional expectations for marriage. In fact, they set some personal rules, one being that Farrah would be home on time from work to cook dinner for him. Although this sounds quite old-fashioned today, Lee's intentions were rooted in a desire for stability amidst the whirlwind of Hollywood life. Farrah, on her part, understood his worries, but also had her insecurities about stepping into television and acting, fears they often shared and discussed. This dynamic revealed a couple trying to navigate the fast-changing world of fame while holding on to familiar values. Even in these early romantic days, there were signs beyond the glitz that their relationship came with pressures and sacrifices. Farrah's unease in a rigid Hollywood system and Lee's own struggles to balance fame and private life added strain beneath the surface. The fairy tale romance that captivated fans was not immune to the challenges of two ambitious individuals growing together under extraordinary scrutiny. Their love story, as enchanting as it was on the outside, already carried the seeds of contention that would later test the limits of their marriage. Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett were often hailed as the ultimate Hollywood power couple during the height of their fame, but behind the glamorous facade, the pressures accompanying their skyrocketing careers created an invisible but growing tension. By the mid-1970s, Lee had become a household name as the star of The $6 Million Man, portraying the iconic American hero Steve Austin, a role that captivated millions of viewers each week. Meanwhile, Farrah experienced her own meteoric rise, achieving overnight sensation status with her casting as Jill Monroe in Charlie's Angels. Her distinctive feathered hairstyle and the famous red swimsuit poster became cultural touchstones, and she rapidly achieved superstar status, adored by fans worldwide. Despite this dazzling public image, the rigors of simultaneously managing intense careers in the spotlight placed significant strain on their relationship. Exhausting filming schedules, press tours, and numerous public appearances meant Lee and Farrah were frequently separated, often by thousands of miles. Lee later confessed, "There was a year or so when I think I saw her only 2 weeks in 1 year. It's very difficult with careers like that. This business is tough, working 14 hours a day, both of you, and the days went by." While Farrah's fame saw her attending late-night shoots and high-profile events, Lee's commitments to his series and other projects similarly took him away for extended periods. These overlapping absences severely limited their time together, slowly eroding the closeness they once shared. As Farrah's star ascended, even beyond Hollywood, Lee began feeling pushed into the shadows. The media increasingly focused on her alone, praising her as a new kind of glamorous sex symbol, while his own accomplishments became overshadowed. Paparazzi and tabloids were quick to speculate about cracks in their relationship, stirring rumors of distance and jealousy, creating a public pressure cooker. Behind the scenes, Lee quietly realized that the woman who had once been his entire world was fast becoming a towering superstar whose radiance cast its shadow over him. The gulf between them widened with each passing year, foreshadowing a heartbreak that would only deepen as time went on. Their story is a poignant reminder of how fame's glittering allure can sometimes come with unexpected costs. Costs paid in lost moments, widening emotional divides, and the quiet pain of drifting apart while the cameras keep flashing. Beneath the glamorous surface lay challenges of balance, sacrifice, and ultimately loneliness, even amid adulation and success. The fast-rising fame was both their shared flight and their slow undoing. Every morning for Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett began with a routine very far from the cozy, calm mornings one might imagine in a Hollywood romance. Instead of leisurely breakfasts or time spent together, their days were dictated by call sheets, filming schedules, and endless promotional appearances. Lee was often gone before dawn, heading to the set of The $6 Million Man, where grueling hours awaited him. Meanwhile, Farrah's days were packed with photo shoots, interviews, and meetings that sometimes stretched late into the night. The exhaustion was so overwhelming that Lee once said there was a whole year when he saw Farrah for only 2 weeks. Their demanding careers made even the simplest act of spending time together a rare luxury. For Farrah, the pressures extended beyond the long hours. She faced the challenge of living up to Lee's traditional expectations for a wife, someone who would cook, clean, and stay dependably by his side. At the start of their relationship, Farrah tried to fulfill this role, preparing dinners and managing the household. But as her career heated up, it became impossible for her to remain the dependent wife Lee envisioned. Farrah later admitted she felt torn. She wanted to support Lee and understood his protective instincts, but was no longer willing to give up her independence. She wanted a life and career of her own, to be recognized not just as Lee Majors' wife, but as a force in her own right. Even when they put on a united front at glamorous events, flashing smiles for the cameras, the emotional distance between them grew wider behind the scenes. Friends and family observed that the couple's public appearances masked a growing void. Their partnership, once the envy of Hollywood, was struggling to survive under the weight of their competing schedules and ambitions. While Farrah's fame soared to new heights, Lee, although proud, found himself increasingly excluded from the intimate world they had once shared. Behind closed doors, it became painfully clear. Their picture-perfect marriage was slowly unraveling, day by day, moment by moment. Farrah Fawcett's encounter with Ryan O'Neal, once a close friend of Lee Majors, marked a shocking turning point in their intertwined lives. The story began innocently. Lee, sensing Farrah's loneliness during a lengthy film shoot in Toronto, called Ryan and asked if he could look after her. A gesture meant simply to provide company and support. Ryan, visiting his daughter who was filming nearby, accepted the request without realizing how deeply it would change everything. Their first meeting was electric. Ryan described Farrah as delightful and full of childlike warmth, and he was instantly smitten. At the same time, Ryan and Lee rekindled their old friendship, enjoying evenings out and long talks. What began as casual dinners and shared moments soon transformed into a much more intense relationship. Lee's trust in Ryan, combined with the growing emotional distance between Farrah and himself, planted the seeds for a betrayal that would shake Lee to his core. As Ryan openly expressed his feelings for Farrah, the media quickly caught on. Gossip spread of a love triangle, with friends whispering about tension and jealousy behind the scenes. Lee struggled privately, grappling with the profound sense of loss and betrayal. Watching the woman he had once called his wife become emotionally involved with his once close friend was crushing. The fallout wasn't just personal. It left a lasting scar, redefining their lives in ways that would resonate for decades. This betrayal, cloaked initially in the guise of friendship and support, ultimately exposed the fault lines in a marriage already strained by fame, distance, and differing ambitions. It proved that sometimes the most devastating heartbreaks come not from strangers, but from those closest to us. Farrah and Ryan's relationship would go on to have its own storms, but the impact on Lee Majors was profound and lifelong, a pain he carried quietly for years. After years of growing distance and emotional strain, Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett's separation became public in 1979, unleashing a storm of media attention neither was ready to face. The tabloids eagerly dissected every rumor, exaggerating whispers into loud headlines about the downfall of Hollywood's golden couple. Their legal battles, far from private, played out in the headlines, particularly over the division of their $2.5 million estate and Farrah's lucrative endorsement deals. Despite Lee's continued affection for Farrah, he filed for divorce in 1980, officially ending their marriage by 1982, with the courts citing irreconcilable differences. During this difficult period, Lee chose to protect himself through silence, rarely discussing the pain he endured. In the few interviews he gave, small cracks appeared in this carefully guarded facade. He spoke candidly about the profound loneliness they experienced as their busy careers kept them apart. Lee recalled a year in which he saw Farrah for only 2 weeks, underscoring the painful reality of their growing apart. He once held hope that when the $6 million man wrapped, they could rekindle their relationship. But by then, Farrah had emotionally moved on, leaving a gulf impossible to bridge. Meanwhile, Farrah plunged into a new, stormy romance with Ryan O'Neal, a relationship marked by both passion and volatility. This partnership was a stark contrast to the quiet, controlled image of her earlier years as Lee's wife, while their previous marriage was defined by restraint and effort to maintain appearances. Her life with Ryan was a whirlwind of public affection and frequent upheavals. Their intense relationship dominated media coverage and further complicated Farrah's legacy, adding layers to a life and love story already tinged with complexity and heartbreak. After the heartbreak of their separation, Lee Majors chose to step back from Farrah Fawcett's life, seeking distance and privacy to shield himself from ongoing pain. Though they briefly shared a home even after separation, the emotional gap between them had grown too wide to mend. Farrah eventually moved out, and both went on to remarry. Lee found stability with his wife Faith, while Farrah entered into new, passionate, but often tumultuous relationships. Despite these new chapters, Neither fully moved on from the intense years and memories they shared during their Hollywood heyday. Now at 86, Lee has broken decades of silence to reveal the emotional scars he carried quietly all those years. Most of the public had assumed their divorce was born of scandal or betrayal, but Lee's explanation is far more subtle and heartbreaking. He describes their parting as a slow unraveling, caused primarily by demanding careers propelling them in opposite directions. Both were chasing their dreams, but those dreams no longer aligned. His truth is not one of dramatic arguments or infidelities, but quiet acceptance that two people who once fit perfectly together may grow apart, no matter how deeply they care. What surprises many is Lee's final admission about the awful truth behind their split. It was not the sensational headlines that marked the end of their marriage, but rather the painful reality of unmet expectations and growing emotional distance. Love, he says, was simply not enough to hold them together. This deeply human story behind the public facade offers a fresh perspective on one of Hollywood's most famous romances, reminding us that even the brightest stars cast long shadows, and that heartache often hides behind the glittering surface. Lee Majors now looks back on his marriage to Farrah Fawcett with a level of candor and reflection that few have seen before. Years after their split, he speaks openly about the regrets and lessons that have lingered long after the spotlight faded. For the public, the end of their marriage was often reduced to headlines filled with scandal and betrayal, but Lee reveals a quieter, far more painful reality. They simply drifted apart under the heavy demands of their careers. "I don't blame Farrah," he said in a rare interview. "We were both so wrapped up in work that we simply didn't have time for each other." It is a sentiment that resonates deeply, especially with anyone who has felt trapped in a life that looks perfect to the outside world but feels hollow within. There is a profound sadness in Lee's reflections, an acceptance of what might have been alongside a pragmatic understanding of how their lives diverged. Their story is emblematic of many relationships caught in the storm of fame and ambition, beauty and success, incapable of shielding them from the realities of emotional distance. Farrah and Lee found themselves caught between the dazzling glamour of Hollywood and an emptiness that success could not fill. The myth of happily ever after slowly faded, revealing a complex truth beneath the public facade, a story of loneliness, sacrifice, and the gradual fraying of love when life's pressures pull people apart. Lee shares a cautionary tale about the dangers of settling for a life that looks polished on the surface, but leaves the heart yearning for something deeper. Their marriage, once the ideal image of Hollywood romance, became an example of how appearances can deceive. It reminds us that love, fame, and beauty do not guarantee fulfillment or happiness. True contentment requires courage, the courage to pursue what feels honest and real, even if that means walking away from what once seemed perfect. By opening up about his regrets and heartbreak, Lee offers not just a glimpse into his own pain, but a universal lesson about hope, loss, and the pursuit of authenticity. His story reveals that the end of a relationship does not always come from dramatic betrayals or explosive fights. Sometimes it is simply the quiet unraveling of two people growing apart, an emotional drift fueled by missed moments, unmet expectations, and the gradual acceptance that love alone may not be enough. For Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett, this truth was the hardest to admit, but it remains a deeply human one. Their journey stands as a powerful reminder that beneath every glittering public story lies a hidden reality, one rich with vulnerability, complexity, and the bittersweet truths of life and love. Lee Majors' final words on his marriage to Farrah Fawcett carry a bittersweet weight, a reflection on love, fame, and the heavy cost of silence. He once said, "I love Farrah, and I always will. There is nothing I would like better than for us to work out our problems," but after years of pain and distance, he chose quiet grief over public drama, understanding that some wounds are too deep for the spotlight. His silence was not absence of feeling, but a way to protect a love that never quite faded. Lee's story reminds us that behind every glamorous headline lies a complex human story, one of joy, loss, and the silent battles we all face. This story urges viewers to look beyond surface appearances and reconsider what they truly know about public figures and their private pain. Fame may dazzle, but it can also isolate and scar. Not all heroes walk away unscathed. Many carry invisible wounds that the world will never see. Sometimes, silence can speak louder than words. A powerful truth Lee Majors now shares as he opens a door into that hidden world. If this story moved you, show support by liking this video, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and subscribing to our channel for more unforgettable Hollywood tales. Your engagement helps keep these stories alive. Thank you for watching.